Okay, so right now we should be live. You have the notifications. And so I'm just waiting for my phone to connect and realize that we are live so I can follow the comments. I need to lower the volume. Okay, yeah, okay. Live. Let's see. Oh yeah, okay, that's it. So I have the live chat at the same time. And so we're going to start. Okay, so hello everyone, and welcome to the third day of the Grand Multi-Literacy event. I hope you have enjoyed the session so far. And as for other sessions, everything is going to be recorded. So if you are not following us live, you will be able to watch it later. And this morning, I'm very honored to have with me Chryssa Oikonomidou, who is joining us from Denmark. So hello, Chryssa. Chryssa, sorry. Oh, so sorry.
Don't worry, Yoshito. Hope that
Yeah,
I'm
you pronounced
pronouncing your
it
name correctly. Hello, everybody.
And so just for a brief introduction, so Chryssa is the founder of Paidokipos and Bilingual Mus. And she's a Greek teacher, storyteller, and animator at interactive educational theater events, as well as a family language coach, helping parents through their multilingual parenting journey. And I met Chryssa, oh, so sorry, a couple of years ago as part of the Peach Project, which is an organization that promotes, educates about multilingualism. And I have always been really, really impressed by your energy, Chryssa, and your enthusiasm. And I can see that in your post, even though I can't read Greek, I can see it in your photos that you're really having fun, you have a lot of energy. And I'm really interested to see how you teach your children and I don't know if you call them students or children in your
All my
class.
students are also somehow my children, so you can call them however you want. It's okay.
And yeah, so before we carry on, is there anything you would like to add for your presentation?
First of all, thank you, Yoshito, for the invitation and for having me. I'm very happy to be here with you to discuss about multiliteracy today. As you said, I'm an educator specialized in multilingual children, and I'm here today as a minority language teacher. And in this case, the minority language is Greek. So what I do, I teach Greek to Greek children living in and around Copenhagen at Paidokipos. Paidokipos comes from, it's actually Bennehound, children garden. So pedi, it means child in Greek. Yeah. Maybe I can also share some personal things about me. I'm obviously Greek. I'm married to a Greek man, and we have two bilingual kids, Hector and Victor. And we have been living in Denmark for the past 11, 12 years. We speak Greek with them and at home, and Danish or English when it is needed socially, if we have guests over, for example. So the kids speak Greek, Danish, and a bit of English. So I'm also inside this my multilingual, multiliteracy parenting game and journey, let's say. Well, that's it about me.
Thank you very much. And so just for the people who are just catching up with us, so the reason I wanted to invite Chryssa is because so Greek, so you live in Denmark, and Greek and Danish don't have the same alphabet. So it's relevant for people who have Greek as one of their languages, but any family who has different scripts or different alphabets to deal with to teach their children, this is going to be relevant for you. So follow along. And so you said you have two. Oh no, before I just wanted to clarify if your children were born in Denmark or like they're growing up in Denmark, because it's been 12 years, so they were younger than 12 years.
My kids are 4 years old and 6 years old now. So they were born in Denmark.
Yeah.
And they went directly to Danish institutions. My kids, I mean Hector and Victor.
Yeah.
And now the kids at Paidokipos, my students, some of them are born in Denmark. Some of them come and join. Maybe I should explain a bit how Paidokipos has started, and then I can delve into who is coming to Paidokipos. Paidokipos was founded in 2018, a while after I had my first child, Hector. And what happened was that I soon realized that if I wanted my son to have any kind of relationship with his Greek roots, with Greece, if I wanted him to learn how to read and write in Greek, if I wanted him to learn Greek history or to love Greek culture, it would have to be all up to me and my husband, basically, like most expat families or multilingual or multicultural families. And potentially also grandparents or uncles, extended family, but they all live in Greece. So they could only take on this role during summer vacations or their visits. I think that's a problem a lot of families can relate to. But we, the parents, so it would be the main responsible, let's say, Greek teachers or Greek ambassadors. As soon as I realized that, I hated it. In the beginning, honestly, I was very petrified. I felt completely inadequate to undertake such a task. So the first thing I did was to study preschool education online at the university in Greece. And at the same time, I started exploring seminars and educational programs on multilingualism. And then when I felt, okay, now I'm ready, I had at least some basic skills to do it. I realized that children learn better in social groups and via play. So that's how I said, okay, we need to form some kind of group. And that's how Paidokipos was born. So what is Paidokipos? It's basically a union for Greek families living in Denmark, organizing educational events. That said, I think it's much more than just an educational space or a school. I mean, obviously, our main purpose today is to support children's heritage language learning, Greek in this case. But I think we have to do our job through very creative ways. We have to keep the kids interested and motivated. We want them to want and choose to come to us. And we have to link a lot of that language learning to cultural activities as well. So that's why, to me, Paidokipos is a community center. We link people together. Parents are able to connect, children are making new friendships, and we see great value out of this, especially when the parents join our meetings consistently from a young age. We observe that the bond with the community gets stronger and stronger, and the children want to come to our school program, so to be with their friends. Currently, we have 2 educational programs at Paidokipos. We have our early years program for ages from 1-year-old to around 7, where we do interactive educational theater events, and these are taking place mostly outside in forests, at the beach. And then we have our school program for our older kids above 5 years old, where the goal is to learn how to read and write in a playful way, and also explore the Greek culture, history, and music. Yeah. So that's more or less what we do in Paidokipos.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's great information. I really like the fact a few things you said, but especially the fact that you said you created a center so that children want to come to us. So you're starting with this in mind. So you create this atmosphere that makes people want to come to you and learn in a playful way. And you're creating community, because I think when we're raising multilingual children, that's also one of the dangers or challenges we might have, is to feel alone and then to start just giving up if it's too difficult. So it's so important what you're doing.
Well, that's the goal. You have to ask our members and the kids to see if I am successful to it, but at least that's the goal.
Yeah. Okay, it's a great goal you have. And so the children you have, are they like your children born in Denmark and then trying to be raised with Greek as well, or are they don't are they some who come from Greece and who have just moved to Denmark, a mix of both maybe?
We have a little bit of everything. So it depends on the family. Some are born in Denmark. Some just came to Denmark and they were born in Greece. So it's also their first contact with the Danish culture for them. So we have a very interesting mix of families that are coming to these meetings. And actually, I think it's also very interesting for the kids to see that, look how different we all are and see how beautiful this is. And they have this one similarity, which is the Greek language and some Greek roots from one side, both sides, depending on the family.
Okay. Just a comment from Uta, who's following us at the moment. So she said that you're really, you have very holistic approach of the whole family. It's not just the children, it's the whole family, and you have created a village. Yeah, and we all often talk about like a child. What's the expression again? It's a whole village that raises a child or something like this. But
It
you
takes
have
a village to raise a child. And
yeah.
Uta actually has a very good quote for that. Uta
Yeah.
should write us the quote that it takes a multilingual village to raise a multilingual child. If I'm saying this correctly, Uta,
I think that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, as you said, you try to make things fun, etc. And in your photos, as I mentioned before, I often see you in different costumes, having fun, and I can see you in the woods, in different. I can see that you're making the stories come to life. But can you develop a bit more, explain a bit more how you're teaching the children? So you said you want to make it fun. Uto also mentioned you use music, history, culture to motivate them. Could you explain a bit more?
Sure. The costumes you have seen us wearing are mostly from our early years program.
Yeah.
Let me share my screen and show you some pictures as I explain further on, so that our audience can also see what you have probably seen. Let me find it, please.
So I have allowed sharing, so you should be able to share.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, we can see your presentation.
Give me a second. Maybe I can.
If you want to make it full screen, I believe normally at the bottom you have like a screen rectangle.
You're right. I was trying. There are a lot of things popping up, but okay. So, as I was saying, we have our early years program, which is from 1 to 7 years old, and where we do interactive educational theater events, and where the kids participate with their parents, and they're mostly outside. And then we have our school years program for above 5 years old, and children there participate alone, so without parents. They have to say bye-bye to mom and dad. And the goal is for them to learn to read and write in Greek in a long term, but in a playful way. And of course, we are also trying to deal with Greek culture, history, and music in this. In all our programs, basically. So a little bit more on how we do things. In the early years program, we focus very much on community and relationships, as I said, and the goal there is to be in touch with our culture, speech production, because a lot of kids, they come from families that are mixed and they are handling 3-4 languages. So it's important for some parents to have them actively wanting to talk in Greek. And we're trying to focus on them developing what we call an intercultural identity. So Zan Epstein, if I call it Epstein, I don't know if I pronounce it correctly, he said, we don't play to learn, we learn because we play. So that's our motto. That's what we are trying to do. In this picture, what you see is us reenacting Wolfie. It's actually, I don't know if you know this book. It's written by Alex Latimer and His brother, I think, Patrick Latimer, has done the pictures, the illustrations, and it's called Half Wolf, Half Sheep, All Heart, Wolf. And it's basically this. It's a sheep that gets married to a wolf, and their kid is half-half, and he goes with the wolves, and the wolves are like, who are you? Why are you like that? And then he goes with the sheep. And so it's a story where our kids can relate because they are also, some of them feel half Danish, half Greek, some are a puzzle of different cultures and souls. So yes, that's one story that we do that actually resonates with our kids.
Yeah. Oh, wow. It's
So,
a very nice story. Thank you for showing it.
Yeah. Another thing that we do is, of course, in all these interactive theater events, the goal is also to increase their vocabulary and expose them to scenarios and different cultural days, special days, and try to match the vocabulary they get at school or in the community with the Greek one. So, of course, if it's Halloween here, even though Halloween is not a very big thing in Greece, we're trying to match the vocabulary for them to have. So we are going to do something in Halloween as well, so that they get also to know that, okay, pumpkin is kolokitha in Greece, and ghost is phantasma, and so they get to hear these words.
Is Halloween big in Denmark?
Yeah, quite big.
Yes, so it's good you're marrying both cultures.
Yeah, obviously we don't want to. These kids are living here. They grow up here. Of course, we're embracing their Danish
very good
side.
Point to make.
Yeah, I mean, okay. Of course, our goal is not only this, educationally speaking, for a child to fully, especially for those that are coming from Greek families, the Greek vocabulary will support the language that they're learning in the community. So we strongly believe that they need to develop in all their languages as best as possible, at least.
Yeah, thank you very much for making this point.
So another thing that we do and where we focus in this age is emotional resilience. For example, in these pictures that you see, there was a bad wizard. It wasn't a bad wizard. There was a wizard that was teasing a fairy, and they were in the forest, and the wizard was teasing her. He kept teasing her and teasing her. And then in the end of the story, we understood that the wizard was not actually a bad person. He couldn't understand what the other kids were saying to him. And we used a Danish phrase. We said that, okay, the other kids around him, around the wizard, they kept telling him, du må ikke være med. So you can't be with us. You can't be with us. And they and then we engaged the kids. We said, so have you ever been told du må ikke være med? And what does this mean? And how do we say this in Greek? So we try to come up with stories that are relevant to the kids and that they have somehow maybe experienced these things in school.
Yeah.
And we always try to do it also a little bit bilingual. So we are using some kind of some Danish into the stories. Then in some stories, we involve Greek mythology, obviously. So Poseidon and the other gods of the Olympus couldn't be absent from all this. So we are using Greek cultural and mythology aspects and some science. So we do also some experiments. In the middle here, you see me doing a volcano with the kids using vinegar and baking soda. We were pirates that day. We also met Poseidon. Yeah. And of course, we also, since it's a very young age, the kids are small and they want to move. And so we also always try to also think of motor skills and have activities that are where they can use their body and their energy. I think we can skip this. It's just more pictures. Of course, we follow the Greek cultural days. and we do things. I mean, Santa Claus will come visit us. His name is Agios Vasilis in Greek, and whenever there are special days in Greece to be celebrated, we also try to do things for the kids.
That's so nice, yeah.
And thank you. And then we have our school years program, where things are becoming a bit more, let's say, the common goal is learning the letters, learning to read and write. But we always do this via play. In the beginning, we start with phonological awareness. So as you know, the kids need to memorize the letters, and we use plenty of games to do that. And as you see, we prefer the floor than our chairs, and or being outside. And we use a lot our bodies and music to play these games sometimes. And we also use inspiration from several books. Yeah, so one of the books we're using is actually your book. We have taken some, I think the bowling, what I can recognize this, what I have there with the cups, I think it's the bowling game where we have words or letters. It depends on the developmental stage of the kid, and we give them a ball and they have to throw it, and if they drop something, they need to read the paper in order to get the point.
Yeah.
So we've found this in the book called The Parent's Guide to Raising Multiliterate Children. I don't know if you know, this is a book, Yoshito.
It rings a bell.
Yes. And we are also using the Toolbox for Multilingual Families book. It has also a lot of easily digestible ideas, and it's written by Utelimache Report, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, and Anna Elisa Miranda. So these are two books that have been helpful. And we also come up with our own ideas, and we find things online. There are so many things you can find by looking these days. Another thing that we have used, and it's been working perfectly, is the bilingual books by Elisavet Arkolaki. What you see here is Nelly's box, where there is a Greek kid going to Greek school, a kid going to Greek school and language school like ours, like a heritage language school. And the kid meets other kids, and we can talk with this book. We can talk about why it's important to want to learn our heritage language. And the good thing is with this book is that it has a game where the teacher gives the kids a box, and the kids have to take the box back home and fill it with things they love. So what we do when we begin a class, we have been using this book and giving kids paper bags to fill them in with things they love, and they come the next day and they show us what they have in their bag. And it has been pretty entertaining to see how eager they are to share with their friends. And in the first picture there, you see them doing like that, and they have, I always say that they are superpowers. They are superheroes. So they have been writing their initial, their Greek initial here. And because they're superheroes, because they speak so many languages. So that's
it's a small thing to start with, but if we start with literacy, having your initial and as a superpower, that can be like, you remember that. So that's actually what you see in this slide is a first day, how a first day would look like. Nice. Wow.
And then of course as I said, we have to also bring them into touch with their history and their culture, and that could be very challenging for Greeks because there's so much info, and to be honest, the educational material that exists are not very close to our cause, if I could say. like they're not like playful, and we haven't found a lot of, maybe there are, and I'm not aware of them. So we designed a program where we take the kids to museums and we do treasure hunts, and we also make stories inside the museums so that they understand our history in a playful way. So that's what you see here. And then, yes, that's the same, more or less.
Oh, nice.
We also do things. We want them to have something to remember, as you see.
They
So
will remember all of that.
Yeah, I hope.
It's so fun.
I hope. Yeah, and last thing that I want to say is that sometimes, as I said, we want to create a community. So we try to mix also sometimes early in school years and do cross events. Yeah. So here what you see is the cicada and the ant, the Aesop's, one of the Aesop's fables. It's also known as the ant and the grasshopper. So what we did is we really worked on that fable in the class in our school years. We actually even take this cicada. We don't have cicadas in Denmark. You know what the cicada is? It's the yeah. So we actually brought some dead one from Greece so that they can see them and observe them, and we read books about them, and then we played the fable in the classroom. So that's what you see in the corner, and then we prepare the kids to actually perform the story in front of the early years. So we took them in the forest and we actually performed with the older kids for the younger kids. I don't have more to show you, but yes, more or less that's what you see. And that's
there is so much to take away from that. Like, I wish that all the Saturday schools and like heritage language schools were like that. It's so you're really starting with how to interest children, to make it fun, memorable, and then the consequences that they learn to speak, or they practice speaking, they learn to read and write. It's so wow.
Another thing that I think is quite important to say is that okay, we focus on fun and play, and but we also focus on our similarities and differences with the Danes and the Danish people. The people and the cultures that exist around us.
Yes.
We get to observe via our stories. We create stories where the kids can observe how we are all unique and how great this fact is, and also say embrace ourselves and the fact that we are different. Yeah. And I think this has also helped us a lot. I mean, the fact that we are valuing us also, the fact that okay, we're in Denmark. And we're trying always to keep that in mind and always bring it also to the table somehow.
Yeah. There are a few things I wanted to say. We have a question from Uta. The first thing I saw is, so you have a program which is 1 to 7 and then 5 plus. So the 2 years that are like overlap. And I think it's so nice because, like, for example, my sons were going to Korean school at some point, but the early years is like a lot of fun, and then when you get at a certain level, it gets really serious. And my eldest got really demotivated by this, seeing his brother having a lot of fun and him having to do a lot of like working on the desk. So having these 2 years of overlap, it's great. And I also really like the fact that you're incorporating both cultures. So the one of the country they're living in, the one you're passing on from home. And also one thing to remind everyone. So you showed one of Elisavet Arkolaki's book, just to mention that to remind everyone that she gives them free every single 1st of the month. Today is the 1st of October. So it's really great that you have just mentioned her book today, because 7 out of 8 of her books are free today. all the books she publishes herself, so self-published. Yeah, so if you search for Elisavet Arkolaki, I have done an interview of her as well. You can download her books for free today. And obviously, if you can leave a comment or if you like it, you can share it, that would be great. And so one question from Uta that we had is, when you teach your children, students to read and write, do you align the start with the Danish start, or do you do it earlier or later?
So are we getting into the should my child learn to read in one language before the other, or learn both at once?
Yeah.
Kind of question. We accept children in our school year program, as I said, from 5 years old.
Yeah.
This means that the kids starting from 5 years old do not know how to read, and we are responsible to teach them the mechanism of reading as well.
Yeah.
But there are kids that start with us from 6 or 7 years old. And these kids have already mastered the mechanism of reading because they're going to school. Now, the fact that Greek has a different alphabet than Danish or any other Latin-based language the parents shouldn't be worried about that. The mechanism of reading is the same. It's just the hard part is actually to master the mechanism, no matter the alphabet. And I would say there is no one-size-fits-all answer in the question. Should my child learn to read in one language before the other, or learn both at once?
Yeah.
For me, every parent needs to analyze their unique situation, set their own realistic goals, and only then answer what would be best for their family.
Yeah.
There are some things to consider, though, before deciding when would be the best time for one's child to learn to read in the home language. I don't know if you want us to get into that.
We can, yeah, if you want to.
Well, learning to read for the first time is hard, and it does take some time, and it does take energy. So first, the kid needs to understand letter sound relationships and memorize all the letter sounds, and then they need to use this knowledge to actually start decoding the words, the text. For a child to transition from sounding out its letter to automatic word reading, as I said, it's a lot of time and effort. But as soon as this is mastered, then it's very easy to learn how to read and write in any language. So they have to first conquer the strategy. What happens if you do that before? Because actually, for my kids, for example, I have decided that they would start at 5 with Greek, and then the Danish would come at 6. If you start before school, a little bit before school, I'm not saying now 3 years old and for 5, when you see that the child is developmentally ready, and we can go also through that, how to figure out if a child is developmentally ready. But what happens if you start with these multilingual kids a little bit before school is that you give them a little bit of a boost in confidence. Because if you manage, because I said it takes time and energy, maybe you can't manage to do that before school. If you manage to have them conquer the strategy of reading, then it becomes easier. And some of these kids lack in vocabulary. So when they get to school, they feel a bit, okay, I don't understand everything in the community school. So if at least they know how to read and write, they feel, okay, I have an advantage here. So I'm winning here. So maybe in confidence level, I'm a bit better now because I lack here a bit in vocabulary, but I understand what's happening, what we're doing. It's not everything is super new.
Like you said, if it's an alphabet, it's the same, it's just different signs.
Yeah.
It's the same logic. So they would probably integrate the new language much quicker than someone who starts the first time.
Yeah. But then, okay, so one could question, okay, then it's clear we should start before school, but it's not that simple. Because as I said, and as you know, it takes time and energy, and you need to make it interesting, and you need to know how to do it. And most parents are not trained teachers, and some of them don't have access to efforts like ours. And last, but definitely not least, the child needs to be developmentally ready.
Yeah.
You can't
And so how
force
do
it.
you, if you're a parent who is not trained as a teacher, how do you spot that?
If they are developmentally ready, you mean?
Yeah. What are the signs that can tell you, okay, maybe we can start now?
So to figure out if your child is developmentally ready, you can do several things. First of all, you can see if he has started having any interest in text.
Yeah.
I mean, if he pretends to read, if he starts asking what is written here, these are all signs that, okay, maybe here we have an emergent pre-reader. Then if he starts having something very, very good that you can do is start seeing if he can do rhymes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You will notice that, for example, you can ask your child, give me a word that rhymes with hat. If he can't do these exercises, probably he needs more practice there before we can actually get into like really letter and really teaching how to read and write. Your child may point to capital letters and identify them. Another indicator of reading readiness is print awareness, to understand that readers sound out words by looking at letters and thinking about what sounds they make. They don't need to be able to actually make the sound of the words on their own at that point, obviously, but they should understand the concept. If you try to explain the concept and you say, okay, I'm getting somewhere, then that's also a sign. To have some kind of phonological awareness. As phonological awareness, what do we mean? As we said, rhymes. So start playing games with rhymes and see how the child responds. Then you can clap syllables. Like, okay, Chryssa. Can they follow to cut the word in little pieces? Yo, she, to. So try to do this kind of things. Or you can also see if they can identify the beginning and the ending of a word, of the beginning and the end of sound. Yeah, like you can say, can you find me a word with starting with and see can they do it or can't they? So all this, I think the first step is practice phonological awareness games, and then if you see that we're very good at this, then it's a thumbs up and you can proceed.
Okay, thank you very much. And so if, for example, a parent who doesn't have access to a school like yours is thinking, okay, I want my child to be able to read in our language. And if they have the basics, if they go through these first steps of understanding things, I can take it afterwards, no problem. But I don't know how to go from 0 to 1. What is there anything you would advise?
Yeah, that's a sad reality. I know that there are a lot of parents living in places where they do not have access to initiatives such as Paidokipos. For those parents, and if one decides to undertake the task of teaching their children to read, I would say first, children books. Start from very early on with reading children books. Establish this as a very good routine to read children books with your kids. I can't stress how important this is. Reading children's books have a lot of benefits, and among others, it can improve a child's reading skills, including also reading comprehension and fluency and word recognition and so many other stuff. So that's number one, children books. Number two, as we said, you have to judge if your kid is developmentally ready to start reading. And we went on that topic. So and as soon as number three, as soon as you see that okay, it's ready, you can start then introducing the letters to the kid. Now, I don't know how it works for other languages, but with Greek, we don't follow the alphabetical order. We don't start with showing A, B, C. We usually start with the letters A, T, S, K, O, these kind of letters. And the reason behind that is that they can form small, easy words like papi, which is a duck in Greek, or pita, which is a pie, or topi, which is a ball. So we can quickly move to forming small words and syllables with these letters.
It's a quick win. They have just a few letters, but they can already make words.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And an important thing to remember is that it's not really important to actually teach the name of the letter. We don't want them to say A is alpha. We don't care about the name of the letter, but the sound of the letter. So, for example, we don't say that's alpha. We say it's A. Or for P, we don't say this is P. We focus on the sound, and the sound it's not poo, it's not po, it's not P, it's P.
Yeah.
And it's important that you only do and then as soon as they learn, so you continue with all the letters, and as soon as they learn the sound of some letters, you can start putting two letters together, like po and a, pa, and then let them try to read syllables. And it will take time, and it could be like that for a year. He gets to know the letters, but he cannot connect the dots from P to A. So it's okay. It usually takes actually more or less a year. But then as soon as and it's magical when it happens. I mean, the first time that I saw a kid reading in my classes, I wanted to cry. I felt like I stole a magical moment from the parent. A child's first. It's mine. But yes, once
when it clicks in the mind and they understand it.
Yeah. It's amazing. I'm having goosebumps. It's a very magical moment. But yes, when it happens, it goes very fast after that. So good luck to everyone who wants to undertake this task.
But I guess because we're talking about languages who work in the same way, have the same writing system, so alphabetical system, for example, even if they have different alphabets, because the logic is the same, if I guess you're not ready to do that, so if they think, okay, all these tips are great, but do I have the time or whatever, maybe they can just leave it to school to teach it in the school language. So then after, like you said, it's a lot easier afterwards. So maybe that could be another solution as well. If there is no school, like heritage language school around, and they don't feel like they can do it, I guess that all the things about reading books, etc., is fine. But if they don't want to do concretely the activities, they can leave it for the school and take away.
Of course. As I said, everything is okay. I mean, there is no adults learn how to read and write in different languages. It's not like you have to start at 5. You have to see your own situation, how much time and energy you have, what solutions you have around you, how many languages your kid is dealing with. Are you going to stay in this country? Do you need to go back to your country after a while? And maybe you need the kid to be included in I mean, there are so many factors. That's why I'm saying there's no simple, if you can't Google, should I start before and after school, and find an answer that fits you. You have to educate yourself, analyze your situation and your kid's situation and the kid's needs, and then decide on what to do. But whatever you do, don't worry, don't stress. It's possible in no matter what age.
Yeah, that's important to keep in mind as well. And it can take time, and we just need to be patient.
Yeah.
And so another probably typical thought that parents might have is that if you teach the two languages writing two alphabets at the same time, it might be confusing. What's your take on this? Do you think it's confusing or not, or what
could a kid mix or be confused with the two alphabets or the languages and start mixing the letters? They might. Greek has some letters that are unique, some that have similar sounds with Danish or with any Latin alphabet, and some that look the same but sound different. For example, the Latin P sounds R in Greek, and the X is my name actually starts with an X, Chryssa. So will they mix things up? Yes, probably they will in the beginning. Is this expected? Yes. Is this a problem? No. They will quickly clarify everything. And I don't like the word confused, because it makes parents so stressed out that, oh,
Yes.
I'm confusing my kids is confused. The kids might go through a phase where they're mixing things up, but that's why their teacher or their parent, if the parent has undertaken this task, is there, and we explain them and we remind them the difference, and eventually they all get it, and this is nothing to worry about.
Yeah, I guess it's the same as for any learning experience. We don't get it straight the first time, and we don't progress like logically one step at a time. Sometimes we go back a bit. Like even when we learn to cycle or anything like that, it's the same.
Yeah.
So yeah, but thank you for pointing out that the word confused, we should avoid it, because that creates a lot of stress. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like this word. I prefer, yes, sometimes they will mix up some letters, but eventually they understand.
Yeah, thank you. And I was wondering if in your school you were following any curriculum, or you create your own. I think you create your own because it's so unique.
That's actually it's a quite sad story. I mean, the situation with the heritage schools, the community centers abroad, and the actual support they get from their countries, I don't know for the other, from Greece, is something that it's a bit hurtful for me. I mean, there are some guidelines from the Greek ministry and there are some books, but honestly, I don't really follow them. I have them, I have seen them, I know them. I apply some ideas where I see fit, but I have created my own curriculum based on the needs of our members and the reality they live here in Denmark. I think that the books, the sites, the guidelines in regards to education of Greeks living abroad needs to be modernized. And the responsible people deciding things or creating educational materials or approving books to be used from kids living abroad, they really need to understand our actual situation.
Yeah.
I think there is a disconnect. I know that there are initiatives out there trying to work on that, and I'm hopeful. And the good news is that there are a lot of individuals and teachers and authors and educational teams that have created valuable tools. Some of them we mentioned today, or that have come up with great ideas on how we can approach our little kids living abroad. And there are so many Instagrammers these days, Greek school teachers that one can follow and get the inspiration. Yeah, so yes.
Thank you. And we have a question from Lina. So it might be a bit delayed. So I think we have partly answered it, but so I'm going to reformulate it. So she's asking what happens with the same symbols in both languages. So for example, like you mentioned the P. So I'm guessing
same vowels. He's saying no, she's not me. She said the same vowels. I think she said the same vowels.
Symbols. Same symbols.
Symbols. The same symbol.
I'm guessing it means letters.
Okay.
So what do you do? So if on the paper you see a letter that looks the same in both languages, what can you do so that they don't mix?
Nothing. You just keep telling them that this is and you can even, when you introduce the P, you can even say, I mean, if the kid has already been exposed to the Danish P, that's different with the Greek P, you can say, okay, can you remember that this is the Danish one and that's the Greek one? It's okay to do that if the kid already knows Danish, for example, or any other language. You can observe the difference. It's okay. I mean, of course,
you need to put them back into context, which one goes with which language. Yeah.
But it goes very fast where the kid understands because of maybe it's even easier. I don't know if there's any research done on this specific topic, but maybe for Greek, it's even easier for the kids to understand that, okay, now I'm reading something that is Greek. because of different letters. So when you see a text from far away, you can understand if it's a Latin-based alphabet or a Greek one, because of all these different letters. So maybe it is easier for them to, I don't know. It's a very interesting topic. I would love to read some research on that, actually. It exists. I'm not aware of it, but yeah, don't be afraid to spot out the differences anyway between the languages. That's how they will end up unmixing things.
Yeah, and I guess so. People can also get overwhelmed or just put the blame on bilingualism. But if, for example, a letter is the same in two different languages, okay, it's pronounced differently, but in one language, it happens as well. So, for example, in English, the C can have two different sounds, the G can have two different sounds, and at first, children get confused. They don't know if it's a giraffe or giraffe. So it's the same learning process that applies, whether it's between two different languages or one language. There is a time where they will have to integrate the rule, I guess.
Yeah, that's how we learn. It's a normal process, and the parents shouldn't be worried. I mean, that's what happens. Or if they are worried, because of course there are also learning disabilities and stuff. If you're seriously worried, obviously go and seek expert advice. But for these kind of things, like my kid is mixing sometimes the Greek with a Danish P, for example, it's okay. I mean, it will take some time, and then they will clear things up.
I think the key is to get information, to be informed. And then if we think, okay, I understand this, but my child has this or does this or whatever, then we need to go and see some specialists. But if it's to do with language, I would always advise people to find someone who is specialized in bilingualism, because people who are not specialized in bilingualism, they might have some, some
prejudgment.
Judgment, or they might not be really informed on the situation and give you bad advice, not on purpose, but so it's important to find the people who are specialized in bilingualism as well.
Of course.
And so we are getting to the end of the hour, and I would like to know if there is anything we haven't covered that you think would be important for parents to know, or even just a message of encouragement to the parents. Or it could be to the teachers if you want.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the...
It could also be to the teachers if you prefer.
I would say to the parents, enjoy the journey. I know it's frustrating sometimes. Try not to stress too much. And as I said, always look at your unique situation. You have to look at yourselves and your families. What's right for one family maybe is not right for you. And then for the teachers, I would say for the Greek teachers living abroad, we have created recently a group on Facebook, which is for all Greek teachers living abroad. And also parents are welcome if they are undertaking this role. And when I say teachers, well, when you're teaching abroad, you're not necessarily a teacher always. So whoever is undertaking this role is welcome to come to this Greek Teachers Living Abroad Facebook group. It's called Δάσκαλοι Ελληνικών στο Εξωτερικό. I can also put a link on the comments.
It would be great if you can send me the link. I put it in the description in the video.
Yeah, right now we have a bit more than 100 teachers. We are really trying, because of the lack of support we get. I think we only have each other. Mainly, I mean, and I think the power of this network is big, and it's a place to exchange ideas and practices. So everyone is welcome to join.
It's so good that there's such initiatives, especially now with the internet, we can connect with people around the world. So you're talking about Greek, but it's not just in Denmark or just in Greece, etc. It's all over the world, so you can connect and exchange your ideas, and that's
helpful. That's very helpful. That's a very valuable tool, actually.
So if you could just give me the link, I'll add it in the description.
Yes.
So thank you very much again, Chryssa.
Thank you.
And I wish you a nice day and
Thank
rest
you,
of the
and good
weekend.
luck with the rest of the talks. I look forward hearing them.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.